It was for the sake of keeping the food warm. When the soup was ready, sprinkling some cooked oil could keep the food warm for a very long time. However, it was obvious that the eggplants in front of him were definitely not for the sake of keeping the food warm. It was to let people see that every piece of eggplant had the smell of oil on it. Hence, Xiao Yuan said to Xiao Bei, "I know. Look, I'll analyze it for you." When they stir-fry, they use a large pot to save time, effort, and fire. However, they don't add oil, so the eggplants are cooked. At this time, the eggplants are easily dehydrated. They pour water in, but don't add salt. When they are cooked, they first scoop a spoonful of oil into it and mix it with the salt. Therefore, when we eat it, we can't tell what's going on. You're right. I was wondering why the eggplants didn't taste good. When they stir-fry, they don't add oil, and they don't put enough garlic. Look, there are only a few pieces of garlic on the plate. Is there anyone who doesn't use garlic when eating eggplants? Yes, it's eaten raw. If not, it's steamed and dipped in sauce. Anyway, I haven't found any other processing methods that don't add more garlic. Xiao Bei did not understand what his brother was hinting to Xiao Yuan. He used his chopsticks to poke the eggplant twice and said something. What if someone avoids certain foods? Xiao Yuan did not forget to cover up for some picky people. Unless it's eating something that will make one sick, such as allergies, what else can one avoid? If he doesn't starve, of course he avoids certain foods. I also avoid certain foods. When I eat outside, the food they make is so disgusting. Have I eaten it? Can't I bear with it? If he doesn't eat garlic, add garlic to his medicine when he's sick. Let me see if he avoids certain foods. If he's spoiled, it's all problems. Xiao Bei had clearly suffered a lot. When she ate with others outside, she had to smile and communicate with them while eating. When the price is low to a certain extent, the competition will be on the quality. Originally, I planned to let Xiao Bei and the others think of a way to slowly create a salted vegetable brand. Now, we have to change our strategy. In the future, our people in Idyll will add oyster sauce to every salted vegetable. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the people who were still selling food below and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan was also watching and frowned. The good impression she had of them when they sent the pickled vegetables was gone. How daring were they to send those dishes up? Did they think that they would not lay a hand on ordinary people? Good and evil did not distinguish between high and low. After thinking for a while, Wang Wan asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Aren't you afraid that bad money will drive good money away? I know that you want them to get used to the taste of salted vegetables and establish a place in their hearts, but you have to sell the food first. If you sell it at a 30% markup, you will still be selling it at a higher price than them. When the time comes, they will suddenly lower the price and control the profit to 50%. Then, will you still be able to sell your box lunches? Unless you sell them at a lower price and compete with them in terms of capital, they will sell cheaper food. The crew is willing to eat good food, but the owner of the ship likes cheaper food. And the owner is the one who spends money. Who do you think he will choose to buy?" Zhang Xiaobao was still looking at the boat below. Wei Wei smiled and said, "If we can't compete with them in terms of price, then we will compete with them in terms of variety and service. Not many people like to eat buckwheat, but if it is made into cold noodles, it tastes good. If you eat the same food all the time, you will get tired of it. It is a time of war now, so all the goods shipped to Idyll are easy to sell. After a while, when they want to ship goods to Idyll, they will set sail at the same time. Whoever arrives first will have the advantage." Chapter 1290. Zhang Xiaobao gave the order. The fleet slowly passed by. The local boats selling food suddenly discovered that there were new people joining them. They didn't know any of these people who joined later, but when they heard that the price was 1/3 higher than theirs, they all felt relieved, thinking that there was no possibility of competition. However, when these people came to sell food the next day, they actually put up slogans on the ships. It was not accurate to say that they were slogans, but they were describing what their food was like. With such a straightforward description, many owners who didn't eat well on their way here really started to buy food for the people who followed them. Looking at the crew members who bought food and ate happily on the big ship, the original food merchants felt a little worried. This place was too close to Idyll. Ships from other places would dock at Idyll's dock. When the time came, the people on the various ships would casually talk about the food here. When the people on the ships heard about the food here, most of them would choose the ship that sold the food that appeared later. After all, the food on the other ship was really good. When they saw the food, they felt that it was better than the food they sold. Moreover, it was more cost-effective to buy and eat. When they were worried, the original people began to gather together to discuss a way to reverse the harsh situation they were about to face. "Brother Zhang, this is not right." A woman who was in charge of rowing the ship shouted to a person on a small boat that was approaching. The person who was called by her swayed the oars twice to weaken the waves sweeping over. After a while, he pursed his lips and said, "You can't fight. See? There are 12 new boats. I didn't see them yesterday. They must have just come from Idyll. They have a strong foundation." According to his words, he wanted to use force to solve the problem, but now he understood that he didn't dare. The other party had a team and sent a new boat. What he couldn't figure out was who organized a group of people and didn't do anything else but spend money to buy boats and come here to snatch food. He also estimated that according to the words on the board, they wouldn't make much money. It would be good if they could make a profit of 10% or 20%. Wouldn't it be a thankless job to eat this bowl of rice on the river? After thinking about it, he decided to go over and ask to see what was going on. It would be best if he could find someone to talk to and discuss with them. Everyone should not engage in vicious competition. Yes, vicious competition was a good word. Therefore, he rowed the boat closer to them and waited for the people to send the buckets of food onto the boat. After receiving the money, he tried his best to squeeze out a smile and greeted, "Little brother, the food is selling well. It's all right. Thank you for your kind words." The smile of the young man on the boat was much more sincere, but there was no logo on his clothes, not even the brand of a local clothing store. "What kind of auspicious words are you? I can't wait for your boat to capsize." Old Zhang cursed in his heart. After thinking about it, he mustered up his courage and said, "Brother, it's not easy for us to eat on the river. Can we make a deal? Can we change the food sold so that we can sell the same food at the same price?" I don't have the final say. I personally agree with what you said, old bro. It's not a bad idea to adjust it. Why don't you learn from us and slightly raise the price? Right now, we're earning too little. Your low price and low quality are disrupting the market. The young man on the boat still had that sincere smile on his face, but what he said made old Zhang very angry. "You're clearly the ones who came later. Why are you pushing the blame to us? What I'm saying is that the food you sell is too good." "Yo, old bro, I don't dare to continue what you said. Do you mean to say that the food you sell is bad? Isn't that a lie? To put it bluntly, I've seen the food you're selling. The color isn't good, and the things inside aren't well kept. Brother, are you selling egg drop soup? I've seen that the egg drops are broken into pieces. Every spoonful has thin pieces of egg drop in it, and there are also a few pieces of rotten vegetable leaves. You can't do business like this. From the looks of it, you first put the eggs into cold water, then you stir them with all your might. After that, you cook them. It's just like the ones you sell. Moreover, you use oil. If the water isn't boiled, people will have a stomachache if they eat it. The young man slowly moved the oars to prevent the current from washing the boat away. Old Zhang looked at the young man's skillful movement and was puzzled. He was so young, and he had never seen it before. How could he not be washed away by the water? What shocked and frightened him even more was that the young man actually knew how to make his unique egg drop soup. This was something he had thought about for a long time before he figured it out. He did not even tell the people who sold food on the river. After being scolded by the young man, he still had to explain, it won't hurt the stomach. Normally, when people are thirsty, they just scoop water from the river. Even raw water won't hurt the stomach, much less hot water. So you admit that your water is not boiled. At this time, the young man's smile disappeared. He did not expect that the people who were supposed to be harmonious and helping each other would start to become smart. Instead of thinking about improving the quality of their own food, they purposely used tricks to trick the people on the boats. It's boiled, it's boiled. If it's not boiled, how can it become a flour? Old Zhang quickly denied. He did not know why he was afraid of the young man's angry gaze. Then he said in a panic, even if you give them good food, they won't remember your kindness. They come and go, and they don't know when they will see each other again. They all came from far away, so why fight with us locals? Right? The young man lowered his head and thought for a moment. He did not say anything again. Instead, he greeted the other boats and asked them to lower the price to the same level as the food on the other boats. He wanted them to lose money and sell it as soon as possible. Then, he would return to the shore and report to the young master and young lady to explain the situation clearly. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just finished teaching calligraphy to their younger siblings. The 9 of them did not return to the cabin. Instead, they practiced under the parasols on the deck. They were not complaining or tired. Instead, they felt that it was very interesting to write beautifully. This was the influence of the environment. When there was nothing to do in the inner courtyard, they would practice calligraphy. If there was a chance, they would learn to enrich themselves. Naturally, Xiaobei and the others did not feel that practicing calligraphy was boring. Every time they found that they wrote well, they would be very happy. It was a sense of achievement. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan accompanied them. Each of them had a book in their hands. They read while resting. Occasionally, they would stand up and walk around their younger siblings, praising them. When the person who had accepted the mission yesterday sent back the information, the 2 of them were surprised. Too fast. It's at least a year faster than I thought. It seems that the people's learning ability and adaptability are very strong. I forgot that our people have a good tradition. That's why they have blocked our technology for more than 100 years. This tradition is a copy. It's very impressive. After Zhang Xiaobao finished reading the information, he did not show an angry expression, nor did he panic. Instead, he praised. Wang Wan also had a calm expression. She smiled at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "This shows that they have a strong learning ability. It can also reduce the cost. Without the previous copy, there would be no later development. The problem now is not that they love learning and research, but that they have a moral deviation in the pursuit of material life. Didn't you leave a backup plan? Take it out and let us see." Zhang Xiaobao also laughed. After laughing, he said, "It's not easy to govern a country. If you really become an emperor, not only do you have to calculate all the officials all day, but you also have to consider the details of the people's lives. You don't have time to do things like we do for fun. Alright, let's set up a folk food association. Our family will be the leader of various places for a period of time. After a few years, the association will be on the right track. If you can't practice anymore, come and listen." Don't look so uncomfortable. Zhang Xiaobao's last words were directed at his younger siblings. Whenever he chatted with Wang Wan, the little fellows would not be able to focus on their writing and would always want to participate. The speed at which they moved the pen slowed down significantly, and they gradually lost their strength. Xiao Yuan's ears even twitched. Xiao Bei and the others immediately set up their pens and turned around to look at their brothers and sisters. Xiao Bei took the telegram and passed it around. After reading it, Xiao Bei said angrily, "It's too unreasonable. Doing business requires honesty. They clearly don't care about other people's health and only do things for money. It's not good." The other 8 children felt the same. They all tried to think of how to change the situation. After a long time, people would lose trust. Without trust, it would affect the efficiency of cooperation. Xiao Yuan said, "Shouldn't we, the Tang dynasty's patrol inspector, give an order and tell them not to do that? What do you think?" Zhang Xiaobao asked Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan thought about it and shook her head. "I don't think so. There aren't so many supervisors. The most important thing is that there is no industry standard. When the time comes, how to convict them will be a problem." Xiao Bei was also distressed. Although she was young, she also knew that the law could not punish the majority. Now, everyone was using poor quality food to gain high profits. After the next zero, the government would send people to every household to keep an eye on them. How much administrative cost would that have to cost? Moreover, it would be a waste of human resources. Otherwise, as long as they were not watched, they would still make inferior food. Xiao Nan opened his mouth and said softly, "We should strengthen publicity and education. We should say in the newspapers that doing this is wrong. The people of Tang dynasty have to do things well and sell the best food to the sailors along the way." "How many people do you think will listen?" Zhang Xiaobao asked Xiao Nan again. "Yes, some of them. Anyway, they can't listen to all of them. They have to make money. Besides, there is no standard for what is good and what is bad, and there is no price standard. When the time comes, it will be a mess." Xiao Nan thought of himself as a food seller and said awkwardly, "Then who will set the standard?" Zhang Xiaobao asked again. "My family will do it." Xiao Nan felt that his family was more reliable. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. "Our family has to come up with a standard first. In the future, people will get used to it. We will form a food association and recruit people in the food industry. Then we will discuss and come up with a standard. Everyone can't lose money, but the profit can't be too high either, unless it is something rare." Wang Wan agreed. This was the fastest solution. If they used other methods, it would take too long. This was what Xiao Bei thought. She felt that she had thought it through very well. She never thought that it was wrong to bully people from other countries. She also did not think that other people's lives were easy. Zhang Xiaobao knew what his sister was thinking, so he did not care. If Xiao Bei was really so kind and good to everyone, he would have specially educated her. Human nature was sinister. The essence of social development was competition. If everyone was harmonious, how could there be competition? However, Zhang Xiaobao did not want his sister to be sad over such a small matter. Hence, he said to Xiao Bei, "This is the driving force for human development. It cannot be eliminated. Once there is no driving force, humans are finished. Regardless of whether it is domestic competition under the constraints of the law or external invasion and war, they are all normal individual and group behavior. In fact, in this world, the most aggressive creatures are not tigers or wolves, but humans. Wolves are scary, but do you think more wolves die in the hands of humans or humans die in the mouths of wolves? Of course it's because more wolves die. They can't win against humans. For example, if I were to encounter a wolf, the wolf would definitely die because I have a gun. However, isn't this because humans know how to use tools? What does it have to do with aggression? Xiaobei patted her waist. In fact, she did not wear her gun, which meant that it had been there before. Wang Wan understood Zhang Xiaobao and said to Xiaobei, tools have a purpose, but tools are auxiliary. Real people will store a lot of food. In nature, there are not many animals that store food, and even if they store food, they will only store a little. Even if they do not need to keep food fresh, animals that eat rotten food will not store so much. However, humans are different. Humans will try their best to store things when they have the chance, especially food. For example, how much food should be stored in the Tang Empire? 9 years. Xiaobei gestured a number with her hand. 3 years of drought, 3 years of floods, 3 years of war, and people in chaos. A family does not have 3 years of accumulation, and a family does not have a family. A country does not have 9 years of accumulation. A country is in trouble. Yes, your brother and I are now thinking of storing enough food in the Tang Empire to last for 9 years. Preservation is a problem, but we have been working hard and solved a part of it. When conditions are met in the future, we will build many cold storages and freeze the meat in them. They can be stored for a long time. When that time comes, we will no longer have to worry about the people not having enough to eat. Now, your brother and I are afraid of large-scale natural disasters. Even if we release the food, the disasters will still continue. Your brother and I can't solve the problem, but we probably can't. Wang Wan talked about storage. This was also the reason why she dared to start a war. The cannibals did not have so much food in storage. This autumn was when they started to starve, unlike the Tang Empire, which dragged on for 2 years, and the people in the country continued to live as usual. Xiaobei nodded with a look of happiness. She felt that the country was very stable, just like when she had many toys and candies when she was young. That's true. I used to like to store things. I was afraid that they would run out of food, Xiaobei said. That's why humans are the most aggressive, because they are willing to store food. You saw the dozen live lions that were brought back by the ships that went overseas. They live in a place called Africa. There are many cows and horses there. When lions see something, they eat it. Even if it is a herd of cows, they will kill one and eat until they are full. They will not store it. If it were a human, they would think of a way to raise the herd of cows and then kill them to eat at any time. Wang Wan gave an example. I understand. Humans are insatiably greedy, so it is impossible to guarantee that everyone will be obedient and willing to give up their own interests. If that was the case, the ones ruling this land now would not be humans. As Xiaobei spoke, she ran in front of Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao. She kissed both of their cheeks and said, when we go to school to listen to other children, the teachers don't teach like this. They don't discuss with the students. Whatever they say, the students remember. They are the absolute authority. It's not good. We can understand, but many children are tired of listening. They only know the facts but don't know why. Even if they go home and ask their family members, they need their family members to understand. It'll be better when they grow up. Now, they may seem to be rote memorizing, but as they grow older, they will come back to understand and memorize the knowledge. There's no other way. There are too few teachers. They can't give as much as we teach you. They are too busy. Zhang Xiaobao explained to his sister. Oh, so that's how it is. I thought they weren't doing their best. Xiaobei understood again. Just as she was talking about her teacher, Xiaozhu suddenly pointed towards a large ship coming from the opposite direction and shouted, "Someone come, capture the person standing on the deck of that ship for me." Issue an arrest warrant, he still dares to wander around. Everyone looked at the bow of the ship. Sure enough, there was a person standing there. His beard and hair fluttered in the wind. Xiao Bei and the others did not have any impression of him. They did not recognize him at all. On the other hand, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan suddenly remembered who that was. That was the person who had come to Wing Prefecture to teach students and obtain a tiger pelt. In the end, he turned around and ran away. He didn't teach the children anymore and tricked the Chang tiger. When they went over, Xiao Bei heard him. She asked someone to draw him according to Chang Hu's description and issue an arrest warrant, which was a national arrest warrant. In the end, many days passed, but there was no news. It was probably because it was not a homicide case, so no one was willing to spend the effort to find him. Xiao Bei did not set a time limit, which meant that she was not in a hurry. If they met normally, even Zhang Xiaobao would not recognize him. At that time, he saw a portrait and was not familiar with him, so it was over after a face-to-face meeting. However, Xiao Zhu was different. She liked to draw and had a deep impression of any lines and colors. The moment the two ships approached, she was recognized. Who? Xiao Bei was puzzled. The one who tricked the tiger pelt. You gave the order at that time. We raised our hands in agreement, Xiao Zhu said. Ah. It's him. He's too unlucky. Why is he standing on the bow of the ship for no reason? Looking at his leisurely appearance, I'm angry again, Xiao Bei said excitedly. Xiao Yuan added, his luck is not good, but it can also be said that the net of heaven has wide meshes. There are already few teachers, but he still wandered around after tricking the tiger pelt. Now, we have to think about how to deal with him. He tricked Xiao Fang's father. Following Xiao Zhu's instructions, the ships behind immediately approached and negotiated with the other party. There was no need to waste too much time. The owner of the ship handed the person over. Although this person had paid the money and followed the ship, who would dare to not give the person to the Zhang family and the Wang family? They did not know what this person had done to be caught by Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's team. They only hoped that they would not be implicated. Ship money, ship money. I paid when I boarded the ship. We haven't reached Idyll yet. Why can't you refund me the money? Ship money. The first thing that the person who was caught thought of was not his own fate, but the fact that he had paid too much before they reached the destination. Here, it's a total of 27 copper coins. I don't want a single copper coin. I'll return it all to you. I don't know you. Others pay 30 copper coins and provide 2 meals a day. You keep talking to me, but I only charge you 27 copper coins and provide you 3 meals. I even throw in a pot of wine. Anyway, you're going to die, so I won't be angry with a dead person. Think about what crime you committed. The owner of the ship stuffed the 27 copper coins into the person's hand. He expressed his innocence to the person who caught him and said that he did not know anything. He then shook his head, feeling unlucky that his ship was carrying a person who was going to die. After receiving the money, the person no longer shouted at the owner. Instead, he shouted at the person who caught him, "Why did you catch me? I didn't commit any crime. Everything is just a matter of reason. Speak reason. Otherwise, the Zhang family and the Wang family of Sanshui can't just casually arrest people. Do you still want the law? Even if you want me to die, I want to know why. Do you dare to tell me why you caught me? There are so many people on the ship watching and listening. Say it and let everyone judge." The person who caught him nodded and asked the people who were watching the show, "Does anyone want to hear the reason? My family's little ancestors issued a wanted poster a few days ago." Schwa, the deck was quiet. No one could see anyone else. No one was interested in listening. The person who was caught was dumbfounded. He shouted at the other side of the ship, You're afraid of the rich and powerful. You've forgotten the law and etiquette. You're impudent. Hurry up and follow them. Don't shout, it's useless. We're not afraid of anyone. We just believe that Xiao Bei won't wrongly accuse you. Be a good person in your next life. A rough voice came from one of the ship's cabins. The other cabins were very quiet. It was obvious that they had silently agreed. This person was escorted to the flagship by a few guards. When his feet touched the deck, his legs immediately turned to jelly. He had no idea what crime he had committed. Not only had he been captured, but Xiao Bei and the others had personally given the order. He felt that he was wrongly accused and wanted to ask for support. However, they supported Xiao Bei. That was a kind of absolute trust. Even if he was wrongly accused, in front of the King of Hell, the King of Hell would say that he was guilty and not reasonable. The more he thought about it, the more afraid he became. He felt that his death was not worth it and was very sullen. They caught the wrong person. They must have caught the wrong person. When he was brought to see Xiao Bei and the others, he was still muttering to himself, trying to boost his courage. When he reached the top deck, he saw the 9 little guys and 2 people that he often saw on the map, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Moreover, he saw that Cuckoo was smiling. He thought of a saying, Demoness Cuckoo, a smile can destroy the world, heartless Xiao Bao, killing without spilling blood. In an instant, his body was piled up. If it were not for the people on both sides holding him up, he would have collapsed on the deck. When Xiao Bei saw that the person was being escorted, he stood up from his chair. With his hands behind his back, he walked over to the person and smiled sweetly. You're here. No. I'm not here. The person trembled as he replied. What are you afraid of? Aren't you quite brave? I won't ask your name. I'm just. Ask. Even if I die, I want to leave my name. The person clenched his teeth and said. Die? Xiao Bei was stunned. He did not want to die just to lie, right? What? I can't even die. You want to put me on Vermilion Bird Street? My surname is Tan. My name is Tan Sikong. I know. Your name is Tan Sikong. It's one character different from a certain person, but he is much braver than you. He can say that he will laugh at the heavens with his sword in hand and leave behind only his guts. Compared to him, you are not only lacking in courage, but your character is also far worse. If it were another person with a different identity, they would not be targeted by my younger brothers and sisters. You are really too hateful. Your actions will leave a very deep impression on many children. It will make them feel that the most beautiful fantasy in the world is shattered. Wang Wan looked at the person called Tan Sikong and said with a cold laugh. She really hated this person from the bottom of her heart. Teachers were the ones who taught and educated people. They were the people that children admired and trusted the most. In the past, when a child went to a teacher's house, it was like returning home. It was very peaceful. Even if they encountered the most dangerous situation, as long as the teacher was by their side, they would not be afraid. Once this feeling of attachment was broken by reality, a shadow would be left in the child's heart. He would feel that there was no one in the world that he could trust anymore. It would take a lot of effort to slowly reverse this feeling. Fortunately, there were people from his family in Idyll City. His family's reputation was higher than that of the teacher in the children's hearts. The shop assistants and other people in charge of the business were knowledgeable and patient, so it did not cause too much loss. Otherwise, once such a thing happened in an area inhabited by ethnic minorities, the imperial court would not want to rule it anymore. It was not easy to win over the people's hearts, but it was very easy to destroy them. Zhang Xiaobao also had a gloomy face. He knew that the sentence could not be too heavy. Tan Xizong's crime was not serious. It was just fraud. Tan Xikong was still stubbornly holding on. Good, it's good that you admit to it. Someone, report to the Emperor in the capital. Say that the Tang Empire's patrol team has personally caught a case. We request the Imperial Court to handle the case fairly and follow the procedures. Zhang Fang took a deep breath, gritted her teeth and said. Tan Xikong felt that something was wrong and asked, What do you mean? How is this related to the Imperial Court? My crime should be handled by the local authorities. If the local authorities can't do anything about it, we will arrest you directly. Also, we are the Tang Empire's patrol team. Those who are caught will be punished with 5 grades of punishment. There are no exceptions. I want to see if you will be whipped. Xiao Bei continued and said to Tan Xikong, then laughed out loud. Tan Xikong knelt on the deck and moved closer to Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, begging, Xiaobao, Cuckoo, save me. You can't let them judge me like this. You are the ones who caught me, okay? Don't send me to the capital. I will be punished with death by 1,000 cuts. Really, believe me, I am familiar with the Tang Empire's laws. Being whipped 5 times will definitely not end well. Really? I didn't know about it. So that's the case. Then, let's follow the procedures. You are not caught by us. Zhang Xiaobao said deliberately. He had to scare Tan Xikong. Chapter 1291. Tan Xikong finally became obedient. He turned around and begged Xiao Bei and the others. The 9 of them naturally could not kill Tan Xikong. Although they had the power to convict others directly, they had never used this power since the moment they obtained it. This power was used to deal with bad people who had clearly done something, but could not find any evidence to prove that they had done it. In other words, if you knew that your crime was punishable by death, I also knew your crime, and you also knew that I knew your crime. Without any evidence, then they would directly add 5 levels of crime without any evidence. It was fine to not kill Tan Xikong, but Xiao Bei and the others did not want to let him go so easily. Moreover, just adding the crime of fraud seemed to be difficult to vent their anger. Reform through labor and education. Work without giving him any wages. It's a very mysterious way to punish people. We can use it. Zhang Xiaobao suggested. People in prison also don't get paid for their work. Can't we just catch them and put them in? Xiao Bei asked. It's not the same. If we go through formal procedures, we have to submit the sentence. The reform through labor area will deal with it directly. It saves manpower and time, Zhang Xiaobao said again. In fact, he did not think that the labor camp was bad. The labor camp was very flexible, especially the time. If he spent more money, not only could he do easy work, such as watching other people work, but he could also go through special procedures and get out of the labor camp quickly. At that time, he liked to be educated through labor. First, he would investigate how to enter this place through labor. Then, he would find out what kind of capable people were inside. He would prepare enough money for himself to enter so that he could learn from the people inside. When the time came, it would be easy to get out. If he entered the prison, the guards would be too strict. It would be very tiring to escape, and it would be easy to get injured. Zhang Xiaobao also felt that the reform through labor itself could create value for society. No matter who earned the money in the end, it would definitely be used for consumption. Even in democratic countries, there were people who committed crimes. They were not caught but compensated through labor. Of course, some prisons paid wages. This could not be compared at the moment, and they did not want to be so democratic. Now was an opportunity. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to bring this up. When the time came, local officials would have more opportunities for corruption and malfeasance. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too boring to have layers of patrol officers running back and forth? At the side, Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. Seeing that special smile on his face, she knew that evil thoughts had started to appear in his mind again, but she didn't know what they were. Xiao Bei and the others ran over to one side and whispered in each other's ears. After some discussion, they decided to follow their elder brother's idea. Walking back, Xiao Bei smiled at Tan Sikong. "You're lucky. Big Bro is pleading for you, so we'll give Big Bro some face. Otherwise, you're dead meat. We're very cruel, right?" "Yes, no, you are very cute. It's my fault, I'm a bad person." Tan Sikong nodded and then shook his head. "Since you admit that you're a bad person, then accept our labor education. Go and mine for a year." Xiao Bei announced. "Mine for what?" Zhang Xiaobao continued. Fortunately, he was also a high scholar. "Let him teach for 2 years. If we find a remote place, we'll send him there. He'll teach for free for 2 years. If he teaches well, he'll be free. If he doesn't, he'll be caught and punished 5 times. I'm willing." "Xiao Bei, listen to your elder brother Xiao Bao. Teach. I can continue to teach in Idyll. It's remote." Tan Sikong naturally chose the latter. He definitely didn't want to go and mine. Not only would it be tiring, but it would also lower his status. Being a teacher was different. Even if he was punished, the students and their families would still respect him. He wouldn't be paid, and he wouldn't receive any holidays. At the very least, he wouldn't be poor in terms of food and clothing. Not to mention 2 years of free teaching, even 5 years would be fine. Xiao Bei and the others' decision was rejected by their elder brother, but they weren't upset. Xiao Bei rolled his eyes at Tan Sikong. After some consideration, he said, "Don't expect to go to Idyll again. Idyll is remote, but it's not that the development isn't good. Especially Uncle Hu. He respects teachers very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given you a tiger pelt. Seeing that you don't have a tiger pelt with you, he must have been sold by you. If we really send you to Idyll, who will pay for the travel expenses? At that time, Uncle Hu will very likely give you another tiger pelt. You don't know how strong the yearning for knowledge is in remote areas. Just thinking about it makes me angry. Your behavior isn't a simple fraud. You're stabbing a knife into someone's heart. What will the children there think?" Tan Sitsong's face turned red from Xiao Bei's words. He hated that he couldn't find a big enough gap on the deck to crawl into. If it were an adult reprimanding him like this, he could still bear it. However, when it came from Xiao Bei's mouth, he felt that he really deserved to die. "If I don't go to Idyll, where will I be sent?" Tan Sikong asked in a low voice. "I don't know. Go with the ship. We'll run into a poor place as we go," Xiao Bei said with a sigh. Tan Sikong was happy because the fleet was now traveling along the Yangtze River. There couldn't be a poor place on either side of the river, so he nodded vigorously. Zhang Xiaobao laughed coldly and said, "We're going to the south of Jiannan Road, not the east of Jiangnan Road." Wang Wan also laughed. The south of Jiannan Road was Yunnan. Not to mention the current Yunnan, the Yunnan of her time still had many remote and poor places. If they were to throw him there, they would probably offend him. Of course, for the children there, it was a kind of happiness. No matter what, Tan Sikong was still a high school graduate. He didn't pass the imperial examinations. One reason was that he was unlucky, and the other was that he didn't have the connections. He still had enough ability to teach the children. When Wang Wan thought of the actual situation there, she began to feel sad. Although it was said that the Chaoyang operation was a comprehensive and free education, there were still many places where there was no one to teach. The good things reported in the newspapers were for others to see, to give Li Longji confidence. Li Longji really didn't know the real situation. If he didn't live among the common people, how could he understand the suffering of the common people? At most, he would take a look when he was traveling. Then he would suddenly realize that the common people's lives weren't good. As for that kind of personal pain, it was hard to understand. If there's really no other way, volunteer teaching. Wang Wan said softly. Tan Sikong, Xiao Bei, and the others were at a loss. What did she mean? What was volunteer teaching? You still want to apologize? Publish it in the newspapers. We'll pay for it. Xiao Bei said to Tan Sikong. Ah. Report it. That's too embarrassing. Why don't we? Fine, it's better to lose face than to lose life. Tan Sikong was just about to bargain when he suddenly saw Xiao Bei's ferocious expression. He immediately changed his words. Then, he became very embarrassed and asked, the Great Tang's official report costs a lot, right? Dream on. The Great Tang's official report. Is that something you can go on? You can go on Wing Prefecture's official report and write about your mistakes and your determination to correct them. If you dare to use the pen to avoid the important points and dwell on the trivial, or even praise yourself, I'll let you know why the flowers are so red. Xiao Bei continued to threaten. It wasn't easy to catch someone who committed a crime. If he didn't satisfy his craving, he would be letting himself down. Why are the flowers so red? Tan Sikong was stunned and then asked. Because they need to attract insects to spread pollen. You're so stupid. Xiao Bei explained. Tan Sikong cupped his hands and bowed. I've learned. He really didn't know why the flowers were so red. It wasn't written in any book, let alone taught by a teacher. He didn't expect to have such a big gain today. At least he knew that the red of the flowers could attract insects. Xiao Bei was depressed. He pointed at Tan Sikong and said, I didn't mean to teach you about the flowers. It's to let you know how many eyes the horse prince has. Xiao Yuan quickly added. Tan Sikong understood now. It turned out that why the flowers are so red, and how many eyes the horse prince has had the same meaning. It was a threat, but it also contained knowledge. Sigh, he thought that Xiao Bei was teaching him out of goodwill. I've learned. Tan Sikong bowed again. I'm so worried. Xiao Bei patted his head and waved at Tan Sikong, shooing him away like a fly. Tan Sikong left and found a cabin to write an apology letter to be published in the newspaper. He felt that he had to think about it carefully, or else it would be dangerous. It was obvious that if he wrote an apology letter, it could be used as a confession letter. When the time came, many people would criticize him. He had to be sincere and let people think that he had changed. Yes, he had done wrong in the past, and he had to admit it. However, he could still turn over a new leaf. Why couldn't he change? After a few steps, Tan Sikong came back. I sold the tiger skin. How much did it cost? Go write your letter. Do you think you're short of a tiger skin? At that time, we were the ones who decided to issue the wanted poster. Uncle who didn't intend to pursue the matter and even interceded for you. Think about it. How did he treat you, and how did you treat him? How embarrassing. Xiao Bei waved her hand again. She didn't want to see Tan Sikong hovering in front of her. Tan Sikong was stunned for a moment, then sighed heavily. He turned around and walked away step by step. His head was lowered, and his waist was bent. Xiao Chang looked at him and said, at least he has some sense of shame. When he's done teaching the students, we'll publish it in the newspaper of the Tang Empire. We'll talk about his change. Punishment is not the goal, but the means. Xiao Hai followed and said, yes, people are afraid of losing a heart that knows shame. Without a heart of morality and respect, the country is finished. Isn't that so? We have a heart of respect. We hold a lot of power, but we never abuse it. Brother, I don't understand. How did power come about? After praising himself, Xiao Bei turned to ask his brother. The other 8 little guys looked at their brother and sister at the same time. They wanted to know the answer to this question, just like how Tan Sikong wanted to know why the flowers were so red. When one saw something, it was best to understand its essence. Don't look at me. You say it. Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao because Zhang Xiaobao signaled with his eyes for her to say it. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while, organized his words, and said, power is fought for by oneself and given by others. The prerequisite is that the person who has the power must have the ability. At the same time, he must live in a group. An individual has no power. If we must say that an individual has power, it is the power to live or die. But if he joins a group, he will also lose the power to die. Ah! The 9 little guys spoke at the same time. They understood the power to live, but they didn't understand why the power to die could not be in a group. I don't want to live. Can't I die? I should have this power, right? This is logic. Zhang Xiaobao replied, when you are alive, you belong to yourself. When you exist among your own kind, you don't belong to yourself. You belong to the whole group. You may not understand, but your logic is too simple. Let me give you an example. Before you were born, did you need to stay in your mother's belly? Yes, Xiao Hai replied. Our mother put you in her belly. She was afraid of bumping into you, so she was very careful when she did things. Our father was also helping. You saw how Ji Xiang, Rui, and the other 3 were before and after they were born, right? Zhang Xiaobao's expression turned solemn. This was because life was not blasphemous. It was the continuation of the soul. Xiao Hai naturally knew what was going on. At that time, he even asked why his mother's belly had become bigger. After that, he received an answer. She said there was a little life in her belly, and it would take about 10 months for it to come out. Xiao Hai had been observing since then. He knew that he and Xiao Zhu would have their own babies in the future. At the same time, he knew very well how they could have babies. However, he was not allowed to think too much about it now because he was not at the age where he could bear the responsibility. Xiao Hai saw his mother with a big belly. Inside her belly was his younger brother or sister. His mother needed to listen to music, saying that it was for the babies in her belly. Her food was also limited, and her movements were also monitored. When the babies were about to be born, many people in Luzhou were anxious. The delivery room was even more nervous. Then, wrinkly little lives appeared. Some of them could not even open their eyes. However, he did not know why, but the moment he saw the little ones, he felt that he should do something for them. Now, Xiao Hai recalled what happened in the past again. He said to his brother, "It's different." Chapter 1293. Wang Wan didn't expect that her casual remark would make her younger brothers and sisters take it seriously. She smiled and said, "Volunteer teaching is to support local education. In the place we are going to, there are many remote places where there are no teachers at all. If we don't support them, what will happen to the children? Oh, it's just like brother's policy that those who pass the imperial examinations must first do free labor. Then what benefits do we get from supporting them? Let them get more money. Xiao Zhu immediately put the two things together. Not a lot, just a normal amount. Additionally, we give them the opportunity to enter a position with high welfare and high income. Moreover, they are not imperial examinations, but people who have taken the imperial examinations. Once they pass the examinations, they can't become officials immediately. They have to choose a remote place where there are no teachers to teach students. Otherwise, they won't be arranged a position. There are not enough people. Xiao Nan thought of a problem and asked. It's enough to increase the number of people who pass the imperial examinations. In the past, there were few people who passed the imperial examinations because the number of literate people in the Tang Empire was small. In the future, everyone will be literate and the number of literate people will increase. Wang Wan explained. I still don't understand. Xiao Nan asked again, if the number of literate people is large, there will be many positions for them. They don't have to be officials. In the future, there will be more literate people and the competition will be fierce. There will only be a few positions for officials. They will inevitably look for other positions. It's the same as the power just now. In the future, it may not be officials who have power, but other positions will also have power. Although it is said that they should use power on the people, the reality is that they want power more for themselves. In the future, there will be many jobs. If they don't want to pay more physical labor to obtain survival resources, they must occupy a certain position. After Wang Wan finished speaking, she considered her brother and sister's ability to understand and added, that is to say, in the future, it's not that you are powerful just because you have mastered knowledge. If you want to be powerful, you have to pay extra, and you have to master more knowledge than others. Otherwise, it's absolutely impossible that the country or people in a certain industry will have to put you in an important position just because you have studied for a few years. Because the competition will be more fierce. No one can guarantee that your social status will be higher than others after you study. Everyone is studying. What you gain from studying is that you know the knowledge you need in life. When you encounter a special situation, you increase your chances of survival through your knowledge and make your life more convenient. Oh, you just can't take advantage of me, right? Xiao Zhu said, and then took a step back, indicating that she had no more questions. What about you? Do you have any other questions? Wang Wan asked the rest of her siblings who hadn't asked anything yet. Everyone shook their heads. It seemed that the questions they were thinking about just now overlapped. After answering one person, the others also got the answer. No problem. Go and play, Zhang Xiaobao said to the little guys. Xiao Bei and the others had run off. No one knew where they were going to play. They hadn't finished practicing their calligraphy, but Zhang Xiaobao didn't want them to continue practicing. His mind wasn't on practicing his calligraphy, so he forced himself to adjust his state of mind. If they were to play something else, they wouldn't have to worry about not being able to adjust their state of mind. They would probably be thinking about what had just happened while they were playing. They would discuss it with each other, and they would gain a lot from it. It was better than forcing them to practice calligraphy. The river continued to beat against the side of the boat as it moved forward. Mountains appeared on both sides of the river. Normally, there wouldn't be any pedestrians. However, at this time, there were many people on both sides of the river. When they came across a shoal, some people would build a road there. When they came across a mountain, some people would specially cut a cliff road that was protected by bamboo ropes. There were also people who specially hammered wood into the mountain walls, and then built plank roads. It made people feel that it was very prosperous. It was more than twice as prosperous as before. Behind the prosperity was the improvement of the quality of life. Otherwise, who would come out to travel for no reason? There were also many boats on the river. When the big boats were moving, there would always be people shouting. Because they were going against the current, it wasn't easy to slow down. They would shout in advance to let the small boats in front avoid them. This could minimize the danger. No one wanted to fall into the water, or someone else to fall into the water and die. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were standing at the bow of the boat, saw with their own eyes that a fishing boat was scraped and broken by a cargo ship that was transporting goods downstream. The people on the small boat were swimming in the water and were rescued by other small boats. Then, there was the sound of crying. It was probably the people on the small boat who were distressed over the broken boat. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't order the boat to stop and comfort the people whose boat was broken. An accident had happened, and it was fine as long as the people were fine. However, the two of them looked at each other and saw the same meaning in each other's eyes. We have to regulate the traffic, especially on the river. It's not easy to turn around when the boat is on the water. The speed of the boats flowing downstream is also fast. Even if the river is wide enough, it won't be enough when there are many boats. Zhang Xiaobao watched the team pass by the small boat and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan also thought the same. The main thing is that there are too many small boats. Some are fishing, some are carrying passengers, and some are chasing after other people's big boats to do business. If we directly don't allow it, people will lose a part of their income. Let's set up a waterway, especially at the places on the shore that are suitable for fishing. Don't allow the commercial and passenger boats to pass by. Then, the remaining places to travel will become narrower. The slower boats will affect the faster boats. The current steam engine boats are really much better than the other boats with oars, sails, and boats that need to be pulled. If we set up a waterway, it will cause the steam engine boats to lose their advantage, and thus increase the cost. Xiaobao, why do I feel like we're setting up a highway? Do we have to ask the slowest speed of other people's boats on this river? Wang Wan couldn't think of a better way. After all, this waterway was more convenient than the land route. If they wanted to go from the lower reaches of the Yangtze River to Idyll, it would take at least 5 times more time to go by land. This was because there weren't so many roads, and even if there were, they would have to go back and forth for a long time. Zhang Xiaobao laughed and said to Wang Wan, I have a good idea. Really? Wang Wan didn't think that Zhang Xiaobao could solve this problem, unless they built a railway or replaced all the boats with steam engines. Of course, give a number to each boat and let them pass by on an odd and even day. Today is the odd day, so the boat with the odd number will pass by. Tomorrow is the even day, so the boat with the odd number can't pass by tomorrow. Zhang Xiaobao said with a look of, I'm very awesome. I divided you into odd and even days, and you only know how to come up with bad ideas. Not to mention that it takes more than a day to go back and forth. Where do you want them to stop? Let's say that there may be a place to stop, then their time will be wasted. You might as well suggest that everyone swim here to reduce the passage of boats. Wang Wan thought that Zhang Xiaobao had really thought of a way to solve the problem, but it turned out that he was joking. This kind of traffic rule was not good at all. It was purely a waste of transportation resources involved. They couldn't afford to go and stop one day and one day. At the same time, the value of the transported goods would increase. It was not cost-effective. How could Zhang Xiaobao not know this? After the joke, he followed the content of the joke and said, since it can't be an odd and even day, then why don't we add a traffic light? Everyone will follow the rules. With someone to command, there will be no need to worry about crashing into boats. Wang Wan's eyes lit up. It was really a way. It was not good for everyone to squeeze together. Moreover, they could continue to think along this line of thinking and divide the route even more. The steam engine boat would go on its own path, and no one else would be allowed to enter. If they encountered a narrow river, they could arrange it manually or find a way to make the river wider. But there was a problem. Traffic lights won't work. It can only be commanded by someone. If we pull a rope in the sky and hang a sign, then let the boat move according to the sign, won't the manpower cost increase? Zhang Xiaobao did not say anything. He looked up at the rolling clouds in the sky. The dark clouds came from the west. They were flying very fast, accompanied by strong winds. Looking at the endless clouds, it made people feel that there would be a heavy rain. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao was considering whether the boats on the river would be affected by the heavy rain and thus block the route of his team. If the heavy rain could cause the boats to panic and make mistakes, then what would they do when they encountered a fog? Wang Wan waited for a while. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao did not say anything, she thought about it and said, "Yes, the increased manpower cost is actually lower than the cost of the delay in the sailing process and the danger of crashing into boats. We can charge a fee and pay the people in charge of managing the boats on the river. You see, you can figure it out yourself, but you still have to ask me. I only know a few dozen copper coins every second. How can I have the time?" Zhang Xiaobao looked forward to the arrival of the heavy rain. He wanted to see how the boats on the river operated. In the past, when they encountered heavy rain on the waterway, there were not as many boats as there were now. It was war, and the consumption was high. The demand for goods was also high, which promoted water transportation. When Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao looking at the sky, she also looked at it. She said to Zhang Xiaobao, "For the next month, I need to be quiet at night. Think about things carefully. It's best if you can do it yourself. Is there a difference between doing it myself and doing it with you? Isn't sleeping the same?" "Yes, it's sleeping. What do you think?" "I think there's a way to offset the increased manpower cost. The boats passing by don't need to pay any fees to get this part of the money." Zhang Xiaobao chose to compromise. It was like a fishing boat colliding with a cargo ship. One side had to give in. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. After saying that, Zhang Xiaobao advised, "This kind of method between husband and wife can't be used too often. It will hurt the relationship. Needs. Even if you're feeling a little uncomfortable, you have to make the other party feel comfortable, right? So that's how it is." "Then who made me feel uncomfortable when I asked the question just now?" Wang Wan asked. "The way to earn back the manpower cost without charging fees is to equip the boats with things, such as loudspeakers and headlights. After all, it's easy to get foggy weather. We haven't developed lights that can shine very far in foggy weather, but it's better to wait than nothing. Look, it's going to rain now, isn't it?" Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the dark clouds in the sky. Chapter 1294. The heavy rain fell. Looking up at the sky, it was densely packed black spots. There was no white reflection of the water at all. When it hit the water, bubbles appeared and disappeared one after another. There was a mist on the deck. In addition to the sound of thunder and lightning, there was also the sound of raindrops hitting the deck. The thicker parts of the deck were splashing. The sails on the ship had already been lowered. They didn't dare to continue raising them. The windows were closed. Even so, a lot of rain gathered in the middle and low areas of the ship. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan put on their raincoats and scanned the river with binoculars to see what the other boats were doing. The boats on the river came to the shore one after another, and then they took out a stake from who knows where and hammered it into the soil on the shore. They tied a rope to hold the boat in place, and then they set up a shelter on the shore and hid inside. It's actually here. Not a single boat is damaged. All the boats have found their positions. Zhang Xiaobao looked for a while and found that there was no danger on the river, so he said. They are not stupid. You know it's going to rain, and they know it too. Besides, the locals live here. How can they put themselves in a dangerous situation? Look, there are 2 big boats in front. They are ready to organize a rescue. While Wang Wan was talking, the 2 boats that came against the current stuck together and made a collision sound. It was very clear in the heavy rain. She quickly arranged for the people on the boat to prepare for a rescue. Normally, in the current situation, there was no rescue. Everyone was protecting themselves. Even if they saw the boat capsize, they could only stare and hope that the people survived. That was because the rescue equipment was different. The boat on their side had rubber boats and inflatable life jackets. If they fell into the river, they didn't have to worry about sinking. The people in charge of the rescue were proficient in swimming and could save the lives of the people who fell into the water to a large extent. Zhang Xiaobao was also anxious, but when he looked at the situation again, he said, "There's no need for rescue." They deliberately hit each other. Look at what they are doing. Wang Wan shook off the water on the binoculars and looked again. She knew that when the 2 ships collided, something was put on the side of the ship to reduce the force. She didn't know what was in the sack. The sound was very loud, but the 2 ships were not damaged. Ropes were now being thrown to one another, one to my boat, and the other to yours, and planks were nailed to each side of the deck. This is a pirate's method of seizing a ship. Do they want to combine the 2 ships together to fight against the wind and rain? It's because... I get it. They're afraid that if the rain gets heavier, the water from upstream will become heavier, forcing them to change the direction of the boat. That would be the most dangerous situation. Now that they have a boat to lean against, they have strong endurance and are smart. Wang Wan looked at the layout of the ship and praised. People were all forced. In fact, they could have known in advance that it was going to rain and then avoided it first. For example, they could have found a safe place to stop and anchored. However, they couldn't be sure when the rain would fall. In order to save time, they forced their way forward. When they made this choice, they probably discussed it with the other ships. When the time came, the 2 ships would lean against each other instead of colliding. There was no need to worry about a few small holes nailed on the deck. They could be covered with glue or stuffed with something. When the wind and rain passed, they could remove the holes and continue to move forward. They could save 2 hours of time, and they could deliver the items 2 hours earlier. If the wind was strong enough to blow away the clouds, that would be even better. It was better than waiting for the wind to blow away the clouds. You see, they are not stupid. Your auxiliary tools are not easy to sell. When the fog comes, other people will also find a way to solve it. Who said that? The smarter they are, the more convenient the tools they will choose. If you don't believe me, let's make a bet. Let's see if they will buy it when the time comes. Zhang Xiaobao said unconvinced. The ships on the river had basically stopped, not because they were afraid of the rain, but because they were afraid of hitting other ships. Only the steam engine ships were still moving forward. They didn't care about whether it was raining or not. They didn't need to find a mover when they were going against the current, and they didn't need to raise their sails. They were very confident in facing this kind of simple rain. Zhang Xiaobao's team was even more so. The difference was that the ship had sails to reduce the speed. At this time, when the sails landed, the sound of machinery could be heard. They sped up and went through this relatively narrow area. Seeing that there was no problem on the river, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan turned back to the cabin and leaned on the deck chairs to rest. It was the most comfortable time to sleep now. Xiao Bei and the others just took a shower and crawled into bed to sleep. Their entire bodies were relaxed, and they quickly fell asleep. I don't know if the rain is heavy on the battlefield. I can't see how large the area of the rain clouds are. It's really uncomfortable without a satellite image. Zhang Xiaobao pulled over a blanket and covered himself with it. He swayed back and forth gently, worrying about the people on the battlefield. Wang Wan, who was beside him, had a calm expression. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she said, "The heavier the rain, the better. If it continues to rain for a few days, we will get a large number of horses. When the ground is muddy, the horses won't be able to run. Our people will snipe a few people and shout loudly that they will not be killed if they surrender. They will surrender." Zhang Xiaobao agreed. That's true. The Arabian horses have always been very useful. We can't slow down the development of our country for the sake of war. That's why we have no choice but to turn some of the military horses into commercial horses. When the domestic economy develops, we can make more off-road vehicles to replace horses. What kind of off-road vehicle? Four-wheel drive. Wang Wan asked. Won't a three-wheeled tractor work? It's a vehicle with a lot of combat power. The diesel engine is powerful, the wheels are bigger, and the chassis of the vehicle is high. Other than the places where the body of the vehicle can't pass, it's generally better than horses. Zhang Xiaobao imagined the scene when the tractor army was deployed. If it was on the plains, its power would be great. With a little rain, it would be more convenient to chase the enemy. As long as it wasn't too muddy, the tractor could easily rush over. The two of them were chatting idly when there was a knock on the door. Then, a person came in and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "The Meteor Battle Squad just sent a telegram. They have arrived in our country's territory and are speeding up their march. They will arrive at the injured village in 2.5 days. They are asking if there are any arrangements." Zhang Xiaobao sat up straight with a happy expression on his face. After thinking for a while, he said, "There are no arrangements for them. Let them do what they want. However, we have to send a telegram. In 3 days, report this matter in the official newspaper of the Great Tang. Don't use the real names of the women and their families. Just say that the matter is over." The person received the order and left. Zhang Xiaobao let out a sigh of relief and lay back down. He turned his head to look at Wang Wan and said, "It's good that they are back. Give our women an explanation. Let them kill the people who bullied them with their own hands. Let them live a good life in the future. Aren't you worried that after they get their revenge, they will let go of the last bit of hope in their hearts and then die?" Wang Wan asked. "It's possible. Someone, send a telegram. Tell them that when they see the 2 women in the village, tell them to help them capture the people. The imperial court will spend a lot of money. Tell them to cherish it and do more things for the Great Tang. If they die, the Great Tang won't be able to pay for it. If they still want to die, tell them that their lives can't be sacrificed in vain. Join the army, train, and become a field medic. When they die, that's when it will end." Zhang Xiaobao shouted twice toward the door. He simply stopped lying down and sat up to make tea and eat melon seeds. This was a good pastime on a rainy day. Wang Wan also sat up and drank with him. After a while, she ate the melon seeds Zhang Xiaobao handed over and said, "It's really a hard life. I'm worried that the people in the village will look down on them and that their men won't want them." "Dare, why won't they? When they need men, where are they? The ones who should really commit suicide are the men in their village. Don't worry. Send the heads over, send the people over alive. When the time comes, their men will probably be proud of it. The most important thing should be the provincial governor who was captured before. He still wants to suppress him. When a person with such thoughts is in charge of a place, he will definitely hope that the people will be obedient and not cause him trouble. Thus, the people will become cowards. When a soldier is weak, the general will be weak. Zhang Xiaobao analyzed and said. He hated the provincial governor who was escorted to the capital the most. He was afraid of causing trouble, so he bullied the people under his rule. Wang Wan also hated him. How could he turn the people into sheep? She said to Zhang Xiaobao, fortunately, something happened and exposed him. Otherwise, after a long time, the local people will lose their courage one by one. In the future, they will be useless. Others will learn from him. When a people loses their courage, it's scary. There should be democratic elections. The people will vote for themselves. The elected people will naturally be responsible for the people who voted for them. The benefits of democracy are reflected. We should learn from the United States. Learn from them. We also have democracy. In the past, the emperors were supported by the people and became the leaders of the big tribes. Later, didn't they change little by little? Why is the United States democratic? That's because the United States doesn't have its own national spirit. Spirit needs time to settle. A country with a history of hundreds of years can't learn our national spirit even if they want to. They were all colonized in various places, and some were sold as slaves. When they get together, how can they not want democracy? Zhang Xiaobao liked to destroy other people's prestige and boost his own morale. Wang Wan didn't say anything. For a moment, the room was quiet. Only the sound of Zhang Xiaobao drinking tea and the sound of him peeling sunflower seeds for Wang Wan could be heard. The rain was still falling, and there was no sign of it slowing down. The boat swayed with the rise and fall of the water, making people sleepy. When Zhang Xiaobao drank the tea until it was tasteless, Wang Wan finally spoke. Xiaobao, what you just said makes sense. Compared to countries with many years of history, the United States does lack a national spirit deep in the soul. But their technology is good, and they use force to protect their own people. They work hard to cultivate their own national spirit. Chapter 1295. Wang Wan thought about what Zhang Xiaobao said. She thought about it, and it was true. The United States had been attacking the cohesion of other nations with a long history. They were trying to achieve their goals, and they were unscrupulous. Every time, they sent troops under the guise of human rights and democracy. Then, they helped the anti-government forces they supported win and establish a democratic regime that listened to them. When they were done, they did not care anymore. When they did not support them, when they did not have democracy, they were actually doing well. They had their own national traditions and moral constraints. When their goals were achieved, the country did not have a good life at all. Instead, it was even more chaotic. Even the nation's outlook on life, values, and worldview had been lost. Every day was a mess, and there would be explosions from time to time. It made people live in fear. Was this democracy? This was not. The result of democracy should be a stable, cohesive society and country, not a so-called election. If they really wanted to talk about human rights, why not talk about India? That was still a caste system. They should have sent troops to help liberate them. Wasn't it because they were obedient? They destroyed one by one. In order to achieve their goals, they used all kinds of tricks to support all kinds of splits. We don't want that kind of democracy. We want to be like Sanchuay County, where the people really participate and support it. There is no need to advertise and solicit votes. The people are not stupid. Who is good and who is bad is not what they say. Let them play with American democracy. Wang Wan decided not to follow the path of social development. It was not worth it for her descendants to do more harm than good. Zhang Xiaobao handed Wang Wan a handful of sunflower seeds and agreed. I think so too. I can't guess what will happen in the end. Will it be like England? Will the imperial power become a symbol? Japan too. Who cares? The people in the future will solve their own problems. Who can guarantee that the country will be stable? Sleep for a while. I won't eat. Wang Wan drank a sip of tea, lay down, covered herself with a blanket, and fell asleep. Zhang Xiaobao sat there in a daze for a while. He yawned and fell asleep as well. 2 days later, less than 3 days after Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan received the telegram, the meteor squad arrived at the village where the girl was being bullied. There were wooden houses and bamboo houses in the village. The road was very difficult to walk on. It was only a road that was less than 4 meters wide, and it was full of potholes. There was no school here. A few naked children were playing a game of tag, screaming from time to time. When they saw a lot of people appear on the wooden bridge at the entrance of the village, they shouted again and ran towards the village, which could be said to be the home of the chief of the tribe. The first impression the meteor battle squad had when they saw the village was that it was poor and backward. In other words, it was open. This was because they saw a man and a woman rolling around naked on a hillside in the distance through their binoculars. That was definitely not a normal job. Just like what he had learned before, the men and women in the village didn't care who they had sex with. When they were happy, 1 man and 2 women, or even 1 woman and 2 men were fine. Normally, under such circumstances, the woman wouldn't lose anything if she was bullied. However, in reality, it was the people in the village who could do whatever they wanted. If outsiders bullied them, they couldn't. Therefore, the woman didn't want to live and wanted to die. As for them, as members of the meteor battle squad, they had to take action and protect any member of the country. It was the same as their own children. They could hit them and give them a few slaps when they had nothing to do. Once an outsider came to slap their own children, they would definitely not slap them back. Therefore, the meteor battle squad members retracted their gazes and no longer looked at the man and woman. Instead, they continued to cross the bridge and walk forward. They wanted to give the other party an explanation. The other party had already said that they would pay the rent. At the beginning, when they were collecting rent, this was how they advertised it. As long as you acknowledged that you were a citizen of Tang Empire and had taken responsibility, then Tang Empire had the same obligation to help you. Over 1,000 people couldn't all enter the village. Some found an empty space to rest. A total of 150 people entered, each of them carrying a bag. There were also quite a number of people being escorted, 520 of them. These were all people who had participated in the bullying of women and were watching from the side. The leader was called Luo Mo Hudwa. He was the leader of the envoys from Tang Empire. He had nothing better to do and just had to pass by this village on his way back to his country to look for women to play with. In the end, he encountered a problem. Luo Mo and Hudwa were also thinking the same thing. He was filled with regret and hatred for those who had come to Great Tang. If not for the fact that that person had told him that once he reached Great Tang, as long as he was respectful to the Emperor of Great Tang, he would be able to get whatever he wanted. More than a decade ago, that person had come and was received by the Emperor of Tang Empire. He was even rewarded with a lot of good wine. When he slept at night, he was accompanied by women. He could do whatever he wanted. Therefore, Luo Mo Hudwa thought that he could enjoy himself. In the end, after he came, the Emperor of Tang Empire indeed rewarded him with many things. However, he didn't give any women. It wasn't that there weren't any. Instead, there were women who brought him wine and food but didn't let him touch them. He tried to flirt with them but was reprimanded by the Tang officials who received him. He had been suppressing this anger in his heart. When he passed by this village on his way back, he saw two women hammering their clothes by the river. They looked all right and had good figures. Thus, he relaxed a little. He relaxed with those who were on good terms with him. The two women didn't have anything to do and could even stand up and walk. He didn't need to worry. After all, he was an envoy and had a high status. But who would have thought that things would be even more different from what he had imagined? When he returned to his own country, he was hunted down. First, many people from a tribe were killed. Some of the tribesmen who were lucky enough not to be killed found him, who was resting in another tribe, and told him that the great Tang had come because of the two women. He ran and told the tribesmen who had received him to help stop them. Soon after, another tribesman came to report that the tribesmen were killed as well. Just like that, he ran all the way to the capital and presented the remaining items that the Emperor of Tang Empire had given him. He also said that his trip was smooth and that there was only a small problem. Back then, the Emperor said that he would help him. However, he didn't expect that when the Tang people came, he would be captured without even meeting the Emperor. Now that he was here, what should he do? Luo Hadwa's eyes kept turning. He didn't want to die and hoped that there was a chance for him to survive. I can give you money. My family has money. This was the third time Luo Hadwa brought up the matter of money. The previous two times, he was beaten up. Now, he had no choice but to bring it up again. As long as there was a trace of hope, he could give the money. This time, the leader of the Meteor Battle Squad was a member of the Border Army. He had fought against the Tubo people and had killed many people. He had also been injured countless times. However, he had survived. He had only lost 2 fingers on his left hand and had scars all over his body. Due to his bravery and rich battle experience, he was recruited into the Meteor Battle team. He was also trained to be in charge of this operation. His surname was Li, bestowed by the Emperor himself. He was called Li Ci. Now that he was listening to Luo Hadwa's words, he didn't hit him anymore. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a meaningful smile. Seeing him smile, Luo Hadwa thought that his chance had come. He smiled as well. Hee, my family has a lot of money and jewels. I have 20 young and beautiful women at home. If you let me go, all of them will be yours. You are their leader. Just say the word. Li Ci was still smiling, but he didn't say anything. There was no need to talk to a person who was about to die. As for saying the words to let him go, as long as he said it, he would immediately lose his position as the leader and be killed by others. How would Luo Hadwa know about this? He was still talking non-stop. The more he talked, the more afraid he became. In the end, he had already wet his pants. This was because all the men and women in the village had come out to welcome them. It's you. A young man saw Luo Hadwa who was tied up and beaten up. He immediately recognized him and said while gritting his teeth. No, it's not me. Spare me. Luo Hadwa's pants became even more wet. Not only did he wet himself, but there was also something coming out from another place. A foul smell spread out. Someone shouted. The others also recognized who the group of people who were tied up were. They were the Zhenla people who bullied them with their numbers. But no matter what, they didn't expect that they would be tied up and brought here. Chapter 1296. The villagers of Zhangwang village, or rather, the people of the small tribe, did not have a sense of belonging to Tang before they changed their names. They just farmed and weaved like the Tang people. In some aspects, their living habits were similar. They admitted that they were Tang people mainly because there were troops stationed nearby. When they walked out of the mountains, they were not far from the city. Later, someone came over and told them to pay rent. They said that all Tang people had to pay rent according to their birthplace. At that time, they did not have a birthplace and did not register at all. They were like the mountain people of Luzhou. Later, when they brought things to the city to exchange for daily necessities, they found that people of their birthplace could be treated in the city for free. When they came back, they discussed with the chief, who was also the village chief, Zhang Dai. They felt that there were more benefits to being registered than not, so they went to the city one after another, chose their names, filled them in, took a certificate, and began to pay rent. At the same time, they could eat cheap salt. Yes, salt was 3 times more expensive when they were not registered. After all, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not good people. They were only good to their own people. If they did not recognize them, they would not take care of them. The people in the village had just paid a year's rent when something happened. Zhang Dai, the village chief, remembered what the officials said when he was registered. After becoming a citizen of Tang, he could seek the support of the officials if he was bullied. Zhang Dai felt that his village was being bullied this time, so he went to the city to find the officials. In the end, after he reported it, the local officials persuaded him to pretend that nothing had happened. How could he do that? Under the guidance of others, he went to the place in the city where the telegram was sent. The local officials wanted to stop him, but they did not dare. Zhang Dai saw it and felt a little better. He told them what had happened and angrily questioned them. His village was paying rent, but now they were being bullied. What should they do? A few days later, someone came to the village and told him that the imperial court had sent people to help them. They were asked to wait and take care of the bullied woman. He did not know what to feel. He was looking forward to it, but he also felt that the imperial court was deceiving him. He could not think of a better way, so he could only wait. Who would have thought that today, 710 heads and 520 people who were tied up would come? At this moment, he wanted to cry out loud and cry out all the grievances he had suffered. Zhang Dai held back his tears as he listened to the people in his village shouting and venting. He looked at Li Xi and the people standing beside him. It was these people who were like parents whose children were bullied outside. They angrily rushed out to help their children vent their anger and taught the bullies a lesson. He belonged to the Meteor Squad. He was a person who specialized in such matters in the Great Tang. The person who came to persuade him was really a man of his word. The rent was not paid in vain. He was a citizen of the Great Tang. In the future, he would listen to whatever the Great Tang authorities said. Zhang Dai made up his mind and shouted at the people who were still crying, "Everyone, get up. Don't cry, laugh. Look at these people who used to bully us. Don't they look like a pile of dog shit now? In the future, you have to work hard and listen to the country. Now. Li Xi, I will let you kill them." Cuckoo said that if you want to capture them, they must be alive. You have to kill them personally to vent your anger. Li Xi said expressionlessly. Zhang Dai was touched. When it comes to the 6 Xiao, if they want to live the same life as the people of the Tang Empire in the future, they don't need to follow suit, as long as they don't rob. Just like the small bridge in front of my home, Zhuangzi, good and evil are determined by the heart. One thought to heaven, one thought to hell. Not everyone has this opportunity. Not even Duosher, Japan, and Shinluo. With that, everyone continued on their way. What Lil Bei and the others couldn't figure out was why their brother and sister showed mercy. Wow, look, there's a big hairy head on the tree. It's so interesting. Why does it look so familiar? As they got closer and closer to the tribe in front, Danan and Xiao Nan shouted at the same time as if they had read each other's minds. Everyone looked at the tree and saw an oak tree in front of them. There was a furry ball at the height of a person. The inner yard went over to cut the thing and showed it to Lil Bei and Xiao Nan. Danan and Xiao Nan recognized it. No wonder it looked familiar. It was a monkey's head mushroom. They had eaten it before, but they didn't know that it grew on trees. How did it climb up? Xiao Yuan wondered. After thinking for a while, he said, "Why does it grow on the trunk? There are monkey's head mushrooms here. It's amazing. There are the most monkey's head mushrooms in this area. There are also other mushrooms. Due to the climate, there are more in the south, next to Jinla. The 200 people left behind will help the locals grow these things." The young master and young lady said that they can be grown, unlike the red mushroom, which is the pine mushroom. It can't be fully cultivated manually, and the semi-artificial yield is not high. If the monkey's head mushroom is artificially cultivated, it's slightly worse than the wild ones. People who don't eat it often won't be able to taste it at all. It's an extra benefit for the locals. In the future, it will be sold at a high price. The inner yard continued to explain to the little guys. Lil Bei and the others had already begun to fantasize. But they didn't learn it completely because they didn't have yellow sand to pave the way. Lil Bei and the others were very satisfied with this. It didn't matter if they didn't learn it well, as long as they had the heart. They all knew that it was very difficult to get the approval of a minority. It wasn't that they were purposely estranged, but that it was mainly because of the knowledge they came into contact with. Many merchants wanted to take advantage of them, but when they found out, they would naturally be on guard. Before they could confirm whether you were trustworthy, they wouldn't interact with you too much. Otherwise, they would be deceived again. Rather than calling it estrangement, it was better to call it self-protection. At this time, 4 people stepped forward, one hand on the gun by their legs and the other on the firing mechanism of their revolvers. Don't be impulsive. Don't fire at 0. 03 or 05 seconds. You can judge the time. Lil Bei hurriedly gave the 4 people instructions. These 4 were the most formidable gunmen in the Great Tang, and they were specially assigned to protect them. They didn't even have a brother or sister. Lil Bei asked the inner yard, "I'll be going up to speak in a moment. How should I introduce myself?" Zhang Xiaobei of Between the Clouds and the Water, the inner yard said. How could a child smile so naturally in the face of a group of powerful strangers? How could he say it so calmly? If it were the children of his own tribe, even if they were not scared to tears, they would be very nervous. At this moment, Quan Mo acknowledged the absolute status of Between the Clouds and the Water. If they were slightly worse, they would not be able to raise such children. If the children of his own tribe could be like this, why should he worry about the Quan family's prosperity? Xiao Bei, seeing you guys come, we are very happy. Xiao Bei. Xiao Yuan. Am I dreaming? How did you guys come here? Just as Quan Mo was stammering, a group of people came from another side path. There were people pulling mules and people driving donkeys. The animals were all carrying things. At a rough glance, there were about 40 people and 16 or 17 animals. The person who shouted in joy was the leader of the group. After he shouted, less than 2 seconds later, he shouted again, "Put down the things. Quick, protect the little ancestor." Following his words, the people who came with him all rushed over, not caring about the animals at all. While the others were dumbfounded and the 4 fast gunmen were about to draw their guns, the person who shouted stood between Xiao Bei and Quan Imo, gasping for breath. He said to Quan Imo, "Let me tell you, Quan Imo, you better be honest. I am protecting you, but the 9 little ancestors behind me will not be able to survive. If they are hurt a little, your tribe's 800 people won't be able to survive. I'm not trying to scare you, but think carefully. Do you know who they are? Fortunately, I came at the right time. If I came a little later and you spoke loudly and scared them, my trade route would be cut off." Everyone did not make a sound. They just looked at the person who came to block them. This person was happy and nervous for a while. When he found that the others did not react, he realized that things seemed to be different from what he had guessed. She used to think nothing of it, but now she understood how much the people who really needed salt craved it. As for the cured meat, it was nothing. Her brother and sister had told her that the people here had a habit, especially those who raised pigs. After killing the pigs, they directly cut the meat and ate it with their hands. They did not go through any other heat processing. Then, more people put it in jars, put salt, and sealed it. When there was no meat, they would take it out to eat. Generally, they would store it for about a year. When the meat was taken out, it would be very delicious. It was the same principle as making ham. It was just that she did not want to eat it when there was other food. Raw meat was too fishy, and it was not sashimi. Opening her mouth, Xiao Bei suppressed the thoughts in her heart and turned to discuss with the other 8 people. She did not want to make the same mistake as when she sold the dogs last time. Just as Fan Fan and Quan Moa were talking about how to solve the problem of salt shortage, Xiao Bei and the others discussed the result and let Xiao Bei communicate. "Chief Quan Moa, we have brought salt here. We can give it to you free of charge, but we have a condition." When Quan Moa heard that there was salt, she immediately became alert and asked nervously, "How much salt do you have?" "As much as you want. When we leave, we will leave some people behind to lead you to a better life. We are afraid that you will not agree, so it is very difficult. After all, you have salt here, and it is a good salt. Although Dianchi Lake is fresh water, my brother and sister said that there is salt." Xiao Bei told them the result of the discussion. Before Quan Moa could react, Fan Fan exclaimed, "There is salt. There is salt here. Impossible. It is impossible that there is no salt." "Yes," Xiao Bao and Cuckoo said, "there is, then there must be. Quan Moa, you are lucky. Hurry up and say something." Fan Fan originally wanted to deny it, but when he thought about it, it was Cuckoo and Xiao Bao who said it. He immediately supported it. Quan Moa asked in surprise, "Just because they said there is, there is?" "Of course. Even if there is no salt, if they say there is, there will be immediately. Because they said that you don't understand the 2 of them. It seems that we don't have to come here to deliver salt in the future. We can only choose other things." Sigh. Fan Fan began to worry. Chapter 1299. Quan Imo looked at Fan Fan in a daze. He was not like the people of the Tang Empire. He knew Xiao Bao and Cuckoo very well. His impression of the 2 was from 3 years ago. To be precise, it was not his impression of the 2 people, but his impression of the trading company between the clouds and the water. 3 years ago, the the trading company between the clouds and the water came, which made the local goods valuable and the foreign goods cheaper. Since then, the trading company between the clouds and the water never came again. Quan Imo was very grateful at that time, but he was more angry at the merchants in the past. After thinking about it, he gradually stopped being angry. This was because if it was the tribe that transported the goods and sold them, he didn't know anything. Not to mention the price, it would be good if he didn't take the wrong route. He once asked other merchants about the trading company between the clouds and the water, but they were all secretive. At that time, he played a little trick to provoke them, saying that the trading company between the clouds and the water was benevolent and righteous. As a result, the merchants were not only not angry, but also agreed with him. As the sun rose and set, Quan Imo gradually forgot about the trading company between the clouds and the water. Until today, when he heard about it again, it evoked the memories buried in his heart. He showed more kindness to the people who came. At this moment, when he heard the children said that there was salt in the local area, his mind began to work. In addition, he found that Fan Fan was not as reluctant to talk about the trading company between the clouds and the water as before. Instead, he became easier to talk to. He could not help but ask, "What are the surnames of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo that you mentioned?" "Xiang and Wang." "You don't know?" "Oh, yes, no one mentioned it to you before. They are from Sanshui County." "I guess you don't know where Sanshui County is. Your good luck is coming. In the future, it will be very convenient to eat salt, and you can also fish out of the pond, marinate it with salt, and sell it elsewhere." Fan Fan's eyes kept moving as he spoke. He was thinking about what goods to use to replace salt when he did business with the local people in the future. After all, the price of salt was relatively high here, and it was convenient to carry. Quan Imo was not assured. After thinking for a while, he asked again, "If there is really salt, where is it? Should we take the salt out, or should they? Are you selling it to us, or are we just using it as we please?" "It should be used casually." Fan Fan wasn't sure either. Who knew how Xiao Bao and Cuckoo brought Xiao Bei and the others here? Moreover, they didn't even want to meet Quan Moa personally. Rolling his eyes, Fan Fan said, "My guess is that there is no salt in the water in the pool. It must be buried somewhere and needs people to dig it up. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo can't have sent people to dig up the salt and process it. They must have needed local people to do the work, which is you people with the surname Quan. When the time comes, you just need to cooperate and dig out the salt. I don't think they will sell it to you. In that case, you will dig it out and use it yourself. Although it hasn't been processed, it might not taste good or it might be a little poisonous. Don't you agree?" Quan Imo was slightly relieved. Thinking about it, it was true. If his own people dug up the salt and sold it to his own people, he could easily take the salt out while digging. There was no need to charge them. However, he still felt that it wasn't reliable. He thought that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo wouldn't be so stupid as to let his own people do the mining. He guessed that they would secretly find a place with salt, extract some, and sell it to his own people. The more Quan Imo thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. He said to Fan Fan, "Let's ask clearly first. If they dare to ask us to pay for it, I will make it impossible for them to gain a foothold in the area. The blood of the warriors in our tribe is hot." Fan Fan was stunned and looked at Quan Imo in surprise. His face changed from its previous calm to a trace of coldness and ferocity. He chuckled and said to Quan Imo, "Hey, don't let me hear the same thing in the future. Otherwise, I guarantee that your tribe won't be able to sell to us anymore. You won't be able to exchange for our things." As a chief, Quan Imo's IQ wasn't bad. When he heard Fan Fan's words, he immediately knew that the other party was unhappy and even threatened him. He smiled and asked tentatively, "Didn't you say that we are brothers? Why would you fall out with us for them?" "Of course, I'll treat it as if you don't understand. I'll forgive you this time. Next time, if I have a chance to cut you with a knife, I'll do it first. If I don't have a chance, I'll go back and spend money to hire people to cut you down. Moreover, when I send the news back, countless people will come to fight you. There's no need for Xiao Bao and Cuckoo to do it themselves." Fan Fan wasn't afraid that his words would offend the other party. This was a matter of principle, and he couldn't back down. When Quan Mo heard this, he began to re-evaluate the status of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. He laughed and said, "I really don't understand. Now that you mention it, I remember. Why are you so protective of them? Why would they give you money to spend? Before, they sent people to set the price. Don't you hate them?" "Ha! Hate? Xiao Bao sent the caravan to stabilize the price. It must be to help us, not harm us. I can't think of why, but I'm sure of this. If they earn money, of course they can give it to us to spend. As long as I have a good reason for using the money, or if I have a good plan, I can even meet them directly and discuss it with them. Then they can give me the money." Quan Mo still felt that he was not telling the truth. The other party wanted to show off their strength so that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo would care about their tribe. It was ridiculous that they dared to have a martial arts competition with their team. Crazy, this was truly crazy. A team of more than 10,000 people could easily destroy any tribe. Even if the 6 Xiao were to join forces, as long as Xiao Bao and Huan Huan were willing, they could end the battle in a month at most. No matter how deep into the mountains they hid in, it would be useless. "You are so stubborn." "Fine, you are too embarrassed to say it. I will tell you. It's just hunting together. It's simple. Xiao Bei and the others are probably bored. There is no one waiting for them to clean up here." Fan Fan shook his head and agreed. He did not go directly to Xiao Bei. Instead, he randomly picked one of the 9 people who accompanied Xiao Bei and whispered to him. The person listened while looking at Quan Mo. When Fan Fan finished, he nodded to show that he understood. He squeezed to the front and whispered to Xiao Hai, who was standing behind Xiao Bei. Xiao Hai looked up at the position of the sun and felt that today was not the day. If they wanted to hunt together, they would have to start tomorrow. They would gather early in the morning and enter the mountains. They would eat something at noon and arrive at the agreed place before dinner. Then, they would compete to see who could hunt more prey. So, after giving a few instructions to the person who came, he went to Xiao Bei, who was still happily inciting others, and discussed with him. When Xiao Bei heard that his brother wanted to compete with the locals, his eyes widened. He was very excited and nodded repeatedly. He began to speak loudly to the people around him. "Just now, the leader of your tribe, Quan Mo, has already discussed with us. Tomorrow morning, we will gather here and go into the mountains to hunt animals together. At night, we will hold a barbecue party, the kind that you have always liked to do. Everyone will gather around the campfire and eat, drink, sing, and dance. Now, why don't we go to the pond to catch a few fish and finish our meal first? What do you think?" "Okay." The children in the tribe were led by Xiao Bei to form a tacit understanding in terms of cooperation. The adults were stunned. They could not understand why the leader wanted to hunt with others. What about the salt? When were they going to dig for the salt? With these questions in mind, the group walked toward Yanqi Lake together. It was not far away. The locals also fished. They used hemp ropes to weave nets or forked fish on the shore or small boats. It was also a kind of daily food. The news quickly spread to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's tent. When the two of them heard the report from their subordinates, they looked at each other and said at the same time, "It's all right. It's all right. It's much easier than I thought." When interacting with them, the scariest thing isn't a competition. It's that they don't give you a chance to communicate. For example, when we were in Luzhou, the local mountain people were always vigilant of you. When you went to interact with them, the first thing they would think of was how to guard against you. At that time, it was a good time to spread the water. Let's call it a good time. Many of the villagers were threatened. With our help, we had the opportunity to communicate with them. After that, we even had to let father adopt a local child. It wasn't easy. Zhang Xiaobao was in a good mood as he reminisced about the past. Wang Wan said empathetically, "It's really difficult. There's good news as soon as we come into contact with this place. This shows that business can provide a lot of help to political exchanges. The price adjustment 3 years ago has yielded results, and the locals have more trust in Tang. We have to make good use of it." The hunting tools they use are knives, guns, bows, and simple traps. Before we compete with them tomorrow, we'll let them see how we use guns. Then, we'll tell them that we don't use guns. We'll use cold weapons like them. Yes, we'll convince them when they feel that they're the strongest. That way, we can communicate with them in other aspects. We'll also have to mine some salt first to give them hope. Free salt can also allow them to save the things they need to exchange for salt. They can exchange it for other necessities. Zhang Xiaobao began to think about what kind of development model he should develop before he left. Right now, he was helping the people with the surname Quan, who were the white barbarians. There was also the black barbarians with the surname Meng to deal with. The black barbarians were more difficult to interact with than the white barbarians. The language was a big obstacle, and there was also the philosophy of survival. You might think that everyone should develop together, but the black barbarians felt that it was more convenient to plunder. It took a lot of extra effort to gradually change people's hearts. Wang Wan also thought about the issue of ethnic integration. Peaceful integration, not military force. If it was military force, it was simple. The people she brought were enough to push all the people with the surname Meng. When the time came, the people with the surname Meng would become obedient. But that would require bloodshed. Why bother? Why did they always leave a line for the 6 Zhao? It was all because they were the ancestors of the Yi. Most importantly, the 6 Zhao posed little threat, unlike the Turks and Tibetans. Without a unified 6 Zhao, they would not be able to form a powerful fighting force, and they would not have any military advantage over the Great Tang. How can we rope in the people surnamed Meng without resorting to force? Give them direct benefits. Wang Wan asked. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and then shook his head. We have to give them benefits, but we can't give them for free. Otherwise, they will think that we owe them. The best way is to let them see that there is hope for a better life by interacting with us. Let me think about it and see what we should do. Wang Wan also thought about it. They needed a very good way to quickly solve the current problem. When the time came, they would have to leave and there was no more time to waste. While the two of them were thinking, an intelligence officer came in from outside the tent. With a happy expression, he said to the two of them, "There is news from Annan. Zhenla has sent a message in advance to tell the government there that their king has written a letter of apology and sent people to our Tang Empire to ask for forgiveness in the capital city. They hope that we won't go there. They also said that this time, they have brought a lot of valuable things as compensation." After the money is exchanged, it will be used to make up for the damage their people have done to our Tang. They also said that if there is a need, their king can come in person, but the Tang side has to give a guarantee that they will not kill them when they come. As expected, a weak country has no diplomacy, Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan after the person left. It has always been like this. Force is not the goal, but it is a good way to carry out politics. If it was the Tang of the past, they would not have done this. It is more likely that they would have stationed troops at the border to threaten us. Wang Wan sighed in relief. If they could avoid attacking Zhenla, they would not attack him. Otherwise, it would waste too much time. If it was in the past, maybe those officials would have taken the initiative to find women for them to play with to show the magnanimity of our country. A bunch of people who deserve to be killed. Now, I want to see who dares. It is fine to be nice to others, but they have to be obedient first. It is better than coming one by one to say a few nice words and then some soldiers think that they can be the boss. Zhang Xiaobao scolded for a while, but he was also in a good mood. He did not need to worry about Zhenla now. He could use the break to observe whether Zhenla was secretly mobilizing troops to build up the local area. Then, he would pass through the 6th Xiao and participate in the battle there. Tell Xiaobei and the others to come back quickly. There is a new mission, Zhang Xiaobao shouted outside. Wang Wan smiled and asked, do you have to find something for them to do? I have to. Do you think they can stay idle? Moreover, by doing more things, they can develop experience. I don't want to raise a bunch of obedient children. If I don't train them now, they will still grow up with losses when they grow up. That is not my way of teaching. When Zhang Xiaobao talked about his younger brothers and sisters, he showed a doting expression. Wang Wan's smile did not change. The people who came back just now said about their situation there. It seems that they are already doing well. They actually started to instigate people. They even tricked one of the chief's sons in front of the chief. It is really a good method to start with the children. Let's go and take a look at Jinchi Lake. This Jinchi Lake that still retains its original flavor. Zhang Xiaobao took the binoculars and pulled Wang Wan out of the tent. If you don't have the ability, don't swim to the deeper parts. Look, drink water, right? Don't be afraid, relax, we will bring you to the shore. In the future, when you practice swimming, it is best to do it in places where you can't reach. Let your body train, have endurance, and be closer to the water before you go to the deeper parts. In the water of Jinchi Lake, Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan were swimming towards the shore together with a child. Quan Mo A's son had received a pair of swimming trunks. When he saw Xiao Bei and the other 9 people catching fish with their bare hands, he was very envious. Therefore, he felt that he could also swim normally, so he followed them into the deeper parts to catch fish. In the end, he, who usually only swam and played, could not bear the physical exhaustion of catching fish. Naturally, he had no strength and struggled in the water. He was supported by Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan. As they swam back, Xiao Bei talked about him. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan looked very relaxed. They could even laugh a few times. They did not have the difficult situation when they were swimming after saving someone in the water. Quan Mo A, who was on the shore, was also very worried. His son had swam too far away. At that time, there were only children around. He was worried that the children would not be able to save his son, and it would be too late by the time the adults came to rescue him. He did not expect Xiao Bei to be so fast. She was dozens of steps away, but she was like a fish. She reached the shore in a few strokes. Even when his son grabbed her arm, she did not sink. She still waited for another child, Xiao Yuan, to come over and support his son together. Quan Mo A was very helpless. He knew why his son had gone down to learn how to catch fish with his bare hands. It was because the 5 little girls were wearing beautiful swimsuits and skirts. His son wanted to show off, but in the end, he made a fool of himself. The more Quan Mo thought about it, the more embarrassed he felt. He raised his leg to go over, but was stopped by Fan Fan. He advised, "Children love beauty. Everyone has that. Xiao Bei and the others are so cute. Don't adults always show off in front of beautiful women? If you beat the children now, you will be giving Xiao Bei and the others a hard time. When Xiao Bao and Cuckoo find out, you will suffer." They dote on their younger siblings to the heavens. Quan Mo retracted his leg. He felt that it was not good to lecture the people of the tribe in front of the guests. After thinking about it, he turned his eyes and asked Fan Fan, "I think Xiao Bei is not bad. Not only is she good-looking, but she is also capable. Can my son, don't even think about it. Xiao Yuan is Xiao Bei's man in the future. 100 of your sons can't compare to Xiao Yuan. It seems that you still don't know their identity. Let me tell you this. Even if they don't object, the Tang people will not agree. How can we let Xiao Bei marry into your family?" Fan Fan looked at Quan Mo as if he was looking at a fool. "Aren't we brothers?" Quan Mo began to pull strings again. "Don't. Brothers are brothers. If the girls in his family want to get married, His Majesty has to make an appointment first. You, a small tribe, want to get involved. Say something practical, don't joke." Fan Fan did not buy Quan Mo's words and did not give him any face. Quan Mo finally gave up, and he decided that he needed to find out just what sort of status the Zhang and Wang clans had in the Great Tang for Fan Fan to be so protective of them. From Fan Fan's words, it was hard to imagine that all the people of the Great Tang were willing to protect the Zhang and Wang clans. "Okay, if you still feel uncomfortable breathing, squat while breathing. This way, you can cough out the water you choked in. Don't be afraid of the water in your ears. Just shake your head. Remember, don't take risks in the future." At this time, Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan had pushed Quan Mo's son into the shallow water and told him the method. Then they turned around and swam inside. Obviously, they were not tired from saving people just now. Before Xiao Bei and the others could catch a few fish, someone shouted from the shore, "Little ancestors, come back. The young master said that he has arranged a new task for you." "Hey!" Xiao Bei cheered. She pressed on Xiao Yuan's shoulder and jumped up in the water. Her calves were almost exposed. She jumped very high. Xiao Yuan, who was pressed down by her, popped his head out after 2 seconds. He was very angry. "You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."